Okay.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and all of you potential Toastmasters out there. Welcome to the show. This is Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am your club growth director for District 115, Ken Richardson, and with me, my co-host today is the lovely Phyllis Tribby, distinguished Toastmaster and past district governor. Good morning, Phyllis. How's it going?
I am sensational today. And hello to our public out there. Send us a message. We're live on Facebook just so we can get those messages. How you doing today, Ken?
Doing really well. As you can see from my background, I'm still making my way back to Vegas. I'm actually in lovely Ely, Nevada today.
Mm.
So we drove back from give me 1 second here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we drove back from Idaho, Sun Valley, Idaho, and stopped at Ely because it's a sort of a convenient halfway place to spend the night and get ready to head back to Vegas. So we'll be after the show. We'll probably be heading back, and then everything will be back to normal. It's always vacations are always fun, but it's always fun to get home as well. So anyway, today, Phyllis, I thought we'd spend some time talking about the Area Directors Club Visit Report. Now, you and I have both been area directors, and we remember, at least I remember, the challenge of putting that report together. And it has been changed. It's been modified and updated as of 2021. And I think we should take some time to take a look at it and review it for the day. You remember that report, don't you?
I absolutely do. And I remember it even better as the division governor, because it was up to the division governor to input the material from the area directors. And at that time, the internet was not so sophisticated, and neither was Toastmasters International website. So once you started, you had to complete everything because it wouldn't save. So it was either submit everything, or if you made a mistake, you had to start over. So yeah, I remember those reports.
I do too. They seemed a bit redundant in some areas.
Mhm.
And I think at the time I didn't really appreciate their utility, how useful they could be. But you're right. I do remember the uploading them or filling them out online, as you still have to do. They still have to be filled out online, was very sketchy. And at times you would lose some of your material. So it was always the way I did it was to write it out by hand. And that way, if I did lose something, have to start over, at least I had a handwritten copy of it. So we're going to take a look at it here. Let me come back to this and see where we are. I'll pull it up and share my screen. Let's see, it should be on here somewhere. And of course, it's not where I thought it was. So bear with me a moment while I go find it.
No problem. When
I
I
think,
was the area director first time, my mentor was Wendy Farrell, one of those mentors. She was a past international director, and
oh
she
yeah,
happened to be in one of my clubs that I would be in my area. And what she told me first off is the first thing you do is to email this report to all of your club presidents. If there's somebody in the club that you think is the driver of that club, the VP of education, whoever, so that when you do make your visit, it's ready to go.
I think that's a good point to make, is to share it with your clubs before you make your visit, so they can see, what are we focusing on? What should we be focusing on? Because I like a lot of the changes they've made in this report, because it does tie together things like the club success plan, uh, the Moments of Truth program, for example, as well as your the status of your club on the Distinguished Club program. It ties things together in a way that I don't remember it doing before. There were some elements, of course, you had to fill out who's doing what in terms of educational achievement, but this, I think, seems to flow more smoothly. And of course, that could be, Phyllis, just my memory because it, it was a few years ago. But let's take a look at this. What you can do is download this. This is a PDF version of the report. And you can download it, and as Phyllis said, email it to your clubs and let them know what you're going to be looking for. And the first part of this, under meeting observation, does in fact deal with the moments of truth. And these are the sort of the gold standards for people who may not be familiar with the Moment of Truth program. They're the gold standard for evaluating how well your club is performing on certain qualitative measures. For example, first impressions. The first impression that you make for a visitor. Is your club welcoming? Is it well organized? Do guests feel that they could be a part of this club? Or on the other hand, is it rather cold and standoffish? So first impressions is something that all of us make. We make a first impression when someone visits our club. And the question is it the kind of impression that would lead a guest to want to be a member? Or are you doing something that is really sort of turning people off? Membership orientation. This is another one. Now, we do have, I think, a good system to supplement the club's membership orientation program. And that's the educational enrichment night on the second Saturday of every month. We routinely offer new member orientation and introduction to pathways. But that shouldn't be a replacement for membership orientation that your club does. It is a supplement, not a replacement. So if your club doesn't have a orientation program, it's a good idea to talk with your area directors or with your program quality director to help you get one started, because that really can help your members hit the ground running, so to speak. Because I know the first time I attended a Toastmasters meeting way back in 2007, I was very confused. So that orientation is important. What are your thoughts on that, Phyllis? How does your club orient new members?
Well, I believe that, there has to be an agenda, but it's up to the club to have someone sit with a guest and answer questions as the meeting goes on. So there's not this confusion.
I think that's a good idea, and that could very well be considered a component of your membership orientation. Is every guest has sort of an instant mentor to talk about. Now, here's what we're going to do next, even though as part of the guidance or the opening of the club meeting, the Toastmasters, I think, should talk about that as well. Another moment to think about is a fellowship, variety, and communication. And by that, we mean, do you have the kind of fellowship at your meeting that people would feel warm and welcome? Is there variety and good communication? What about program planning and meeting organization? And as you said, you got to have an agenda. That's part of the program planning and being ready. And that agenda should go out in advance. If you're slapping together an agenda at the last minute, that does not speak well to your planning of your meetings. And of course, making sure that you have well organized and well planned meetings sets very much a impression in guests. Membership strength is another one. And you and I have talked about this. It can be a struggle when you have low membership and you have the same members fulfilling several roles meeting after meeting, because your membership is not growing. You're not up to the strength. You would ideally like to have 20 members in every club. That's aspirational. That's a goal we should all strive to achieve, 20 or more. When you don't, then it makes the meeting a little bit more challenging to get roles filled and still keep some variety and keep that planning going. So membership strength is important. And then recognizing achievement. Let's celebrate. If you complete a path in our level and pathways, level 1, level 2, whatever it might be, celebrate. You don't have to buy those little chevrons and pins if you don't want to, but you should still acknowledge the VP of E should let the president know, hey, we need to recognize Phyllis today. She completed level 2 in engaging humor, that kind of thing. That I think is very important. So let's look down how they translate some of these into this report. And I think this is much better organized than it used to be. I like this rating scale. How well did the club exemplify the qualities of first impressions? With, 5 being the highest on a scale of 1 to 5. So you can evaluate them quickly on a numerical scale and then add what suggestions do you help to improve the club? What do you think of this format, Phyllis, compared to what you and I used?
Well, I think it's good. I don't, as a district leader, you get a copy of all of these, and I think it's good to actually have the number in the beginning is how many people are actually showing up at this club? How many club members do they have? So I think that would have been on first impressions previously, which is not listed here, which I kind of like to have. But here, I think that you can make the suggestions. What did you see? Well, they didn't have a guest book out, or they tell me they have it, but nobody was taking care of it. Or, that they don't have a guest folder with information about it. Or another thing is they didn't invite the member to join or return at least. So some things like that would come up in your first impression.
Yes, and give them have a guest packet. So there's a suggestion that goes along with it. If you need to ask them to be a member, your guests, and you need to give them a guest packet, which includes information, contact information, as well as an application. And again, your member strength, I think, is absolutely important. The other thing I would caution some of our area directors not to do is I have seen area directors be too inflexible and insist that a meeting has to be done ABC, when sometimes meetings are done ACB. Give you an example. In one of my clubs, table topics follows or is the first thing out of the bat, and then you have your speech and evaluation. In other clubs, the speech is first, prepared speeches, then table topics, and then evaluation. The order is really up to the club, and just because your club has always done it in a certain way, that doesn't mean that every club has to do it that way. Every club should have, of course, prepared speeches, impromptu speaking, and evaluation. But the exact order can vary. So that's what I mean by not being too inflexible. And all through these elements that we talked about from the moments of truth, you can see on this report, follows down in the same numerical scale. Were these elements present? If so, how well, and what suggestions? So I think that's really, really good. Were you able to recognize these elements? How well were they presented, and what suggestions do you have for improvement? So that, I think, creates a really good system for getting that done. Stop me if you have any questions here, Phyllis. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because once you see the pattern here for the moments of truth, because these questions and rating skills, they track perfectly with the moments of truth. And that's another opportunity for you to engage your clubs as an area director. Suppose one of your clubs has never done the moments of truth. you can help them do that and be a presenter. So that's another opportunity to be of service to your club. And here's where you were talking about membership strength. How are we doing on membership strength? Are we relying on just a few members to do multiple roles, or do we have sufficient numbers so that there is that variety and that the burden is not that it's not being burdensome? I never intend to think of a meeting as being a burden. It's not, but it can become a burden if you are consistently low in membership and you find yourself doing multiple roles. And then what about recognition? So that's in here too, tracking right there. And so you can see, then we're going to move on to the overall club experience. Things like, how well did the club adhere to its agenda? Did they start and end on time? And that's one of the things that I kind of pride myself on when our clubs, because when I first started, of course, I'm retired now, but at the time, I was still working, and early risers fit my schedule. We started at 6:30. We were done by 7:30. I could be in the office by 8, and it all worked out perfectly. But it depends on making sure that there's good time management throughout the meeting. The meeting starts on time and it ends on time, and that you follow the agenda. Now, I'm not trying to be overly restrictive here again, Phyllis. Sometimes things come up and you do have to make changes. But in general, the club should show that it has an agenda, it's starting and ending on time, and it's following that agenda. What are your comments there? Anything?
Well, yeah, let's say I was in an early morning club, and then I went to one that was right after work, and those were very much on time. And then I went to an evening club, and it happened to be B&B,
Oh,
Bachelor and Bachelorettes. They were in one of my, while I was division governor, I think. And what I found was it's their evening out. Are they on time? Probably not, because it's their evening out. And that was kind of different for me. I was very much into, it's going to be this and it's going to be done here. It's going to be done here. And then there was the break in between the speeches and the evaluations, which I wasn't used to. So it was a little bit different, but it's like you say, they need the 3 elements. If they have the 3 elements, which is speakers, evaluations, and impromptu, no matter how you do it, that makes a Toastmaster club. So
absolutely.
you adjust.
Here's another one I like. Is the club's information out of date or is it up to date? When you're in the find of club, if you go on TI and you go into find a club, you're not going to attract any members if your information is wrong. So make sure that your information is kept up to date. Make sure that people understand that that's one of the very important ways that potential guests can find you. I know today we get a lot of guests through Meetup. We have a Meetup page.
Yes.
You can find us on Meetup, but it's still important to make sure that the find a club is up to date, because that's another way people will go on and look for clubs that meet at convenient times or locations. So you want to make sure you have that. And then there's an overall rating for the meeting. What suggestions might you have? And again, those are some of the things that you were mentioning earlier. Make sure you have a guest book for people to sign. Make sure you have a guest packet. Those are some of the best practices. And make sure you follow up. I have been VP of membership before, and it was always my practice, if you will, to get the contact information for our guests and then follow up, usually with an email, or it could be a phone call, but usually it's an email telling them how much we appreciated them visiting, because we're an online club, and how much we appreciated them. And I would send them our packet that included a membership application and invite them to come back or ask me any questions they might have. And I found that to be successful. And again, the thing is, I know I have friends who are very, very good at converting potential guests to members. My rate is not 100%. I wish it were. Uh, but I think sometimes when people visit a club, they get a sense of, oh, this is a good fit for me. And others that I've talked to say, I want to visit a couple of other clubs, which is sometimes a nice way of saying, this is not a good fit for me.
Yeah.
So we have to learn to take rejection, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I
Anyway,
think too is that maybe once is not enough.
yes,
Maybe every 2 weeks you rotate with an invitation, or we missed you last week. We hope that you'll come and visit, so that you
exactly.
keep it fresh, but keep letting them know you're out there.
Absolutely. So that gives you so we've looked at club, the club meeting itself. We've looked at moments of truth. How do they measure in those standards? Now let's look at support. Um, how well, for example, is the club adhering to their club success plan? And we talked about this a little bit earlier. A lot of clubs don't do or haven't done a club success plan in quite a while. So I think one of the things we need to do more encouragement of is to do a club success plan and learn how that ties together with your distinguished club program. Go hand in hand. And I think it's a really good exercise for your club to develop that plan, because it asks you basically questions. Here are the educational goals that each club should strive to meet on an annual basis. How will your club strive to meet these goals? You need 4 level 1s, for example, or something like that, if I remember correctly. How are
Yeah.
we going to do that? How are we going to have 4 people that need level 1s and that can complete level 1s? How are we going to plan our meetings going forward to make sure those goals are accomplished? So the first question here, on this scale, how well has a club defined and adhered to the goals of its plan, its particular plan? And again, it's a great tool that I think is underappreciated and underutilized in a lot of our clubs. So hopefully we can encourage our clubs to use it more. So how well have they defined and adhered to the membership goals? What are their plans for recruiting new members? Are they going to have an open house, for example, a speech craft, a speakathon? What are the plans for meeting those goals? Because those are typically the toughest. Training goals we talked about, that goes right along with the DCP. The administration goals, those are the ones I think that are a slam dunk. They're make sure that you put your new officers in, make sure you get your dues on times, that kind of thing. And what additional goals has this particular club set for itself beyond the DCP? Because that's clearly what we've been focusing on here.
Mhm.
And this is a good spot to get to know, because each club is very unique in the way, not only in the way it does things, but in its planning and implementation and how it sets about achieving its goals. So what are the things that they want to do here? And what are the metrics or the goals, the milestones in this report period? And how are we going to move forward? So I think I think that covers most of it. Oh, here we go. The last page of this, Phyllis, is does the
Wow.
have any events planned? And this is again another opportunity for area directors to interact with their clubs. If one of your clubs is having an open house, do your best to go. A speech craft, whatever other event they might be, and you can document that here on this page. And this one I like, especially that we need right now. Anybody interested in serving as a club officer or district leader? What are we doing to develop leadership skills in those who are interested in developing those skills and moving beyond the club? So all in all, I'm going to stop sharing here for now and see if we have any questions on our Facebook page. But my opinion, all in all, is I like those changes. What do you think, Phyllis? What are your thoughts on this now that we've kind of
Well,
gone through it?
it has been 20 years plus since I've done a report. And the thing it is like information. If it gets you the information that you need to make as a leader, it
Uh-huh.
lets you know how the club is doing and whether or not they need additional support. It's a good thing. So if this works better for our area directors, I'm all for it. As I say, it's been a long time. It seems to me like the last one was 3 pages long, but it was a lot more detailed, I think.
I think,
Numbers were
uh,
involved.
yeah, I like this. Let me go through, Phyllis. We've got some comments here on our Facebook
Okay.
page. First, Jennifer, good morning. Carol is with us. Good morning, Carol. We're going to have you come on the show. Appreciate you coming. Carol is in Lambda Links. Let's see. District 115 is a strong district with welcoming clubs. Oh, thank you for saying that. I'm glad to hear that. I hope that we continue to meet that standard. Now, let's see if I can get down here. I'm having a little trouble here. As I say, I'm not on my, there we go. Lizette de la Fuente, hope I got that right, from Auburn, California, has joined us today. Welcome, Lizette. She says, hi, Phyllis. Do you know Lizette?
I don't think so, but I might.
Oh, okay. She said, good morning, Phyllis and Ken. Wonderful to have you, Lizette. Good morning, all. Oh, here's a good one from Carol. When do you stop emailing people who don't respond to repeated invites after attending once? Oh, that's a good question. I sort of have. Here's what I do when I'm assuming you're talking about a guest who you're sending emails to and you don't hear a response. I will typically send 2 emails and then call them. I found that if they don't respond after two emails, that typically suggests they may not be interested. But there's also that group of people who don't often check their emails. I have friends like that. That's where I learned that lesson, is to pick up the phone, give them a call, and say, hey, I just wanted to follow up and make sure that I've answered all your questions, or if there's any other anything else I can do for you. So I think that's the way you deal with that, Carol, is set a limit. Say, I'm going to send 2 emails, 1 phone call, and on the phone call, you will get the sense of, well, this isn't the right fit for me. And I think the most appropriate response, if you get that, is, I can help you find another club. If our club is not the right club for you, let me help you find another club, because we have 60 clubs, in almost 60 clubs. Let's find you one that fits. Let's see here. See what else we've got coming down. There we go, Carol. I agree. When district officers attend special events, it's helpful to the clubs. Oh, she's in the U.S. Senate Club celebrating their 50th anniversary. Special programs to celebrate. Oh, this is awesome. And if you go to our Facebook page, she has left us with a link to the website. So I'm thinking, Carol, maybe we can, some of us are, if we're available, be able to attend that celebration online. So for those I know Carol lives in Washington, D.C., even though her home is Nevada, and she's a member of clubs here. So great to know, and congratulations on your 50th anniversary. That's impressive. Yeah. Lizette says she misses. Oh, it's Lizette Presley. Oh, hi, Lizette.
Oh, well, I know her definitely.
I didn't recognize your last name, Lizette De La Fuente. I didn't know that was Presley. I'm used to. So
yes,
good to hear from you, Lizette. So glad you can join us, and hopefully you'll be able to get back into Toastmasters very soon.
come and be a guest so we can.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, her next. Yeah, she's living in California, and she got married and moved to California. So congratulations, Lizette. I didn't know you'd gotten married, but congratulations. And I hope you can find a club there. I'm sure there's one there. And if not, you can go to any club anywhere in the world online. So hopefully that'll work out for you.
Tell her that
Okay.
holistic is hybrid. We would love to see you.
Oh, there you go. Uh, Lizette, Phyllis's club, holistic is hybrid.
Yeah.
When does that meet?
It meets on Mondays at 11:30. And this particular Monday, June the 6th, we are having open house. So we have a guest speaker. But Lizette has been a member of Holistic before. So
Oh, okay. Very
yeah.
good. And my club, Early Risers, is also hybrid. We meet every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. So what I will do is I will put a link for Holistic and for Early Risers on our Facebook page. So you'll be able to see that in the comment section as soon as we sign off here. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me at d115cgd@gmail.com. So that's obviously District 115 Club Growth Director at gmail.com, and we'll answer that for you. Okay, we are at 6:31. We need to wrap up here. I just want to remind people that we do have some educational opportunities coming up soon. On June 11th, we will have the Early Bird TLI. If you are a officer and you're repeating a role, meaning you've already had the basic training to be like the club president or whatever role, we have a modified training program that'll be offered online on June 11th. If you need information, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to share that with you. If you got the newsletter, the registration link is actually in the newsletter. Then we're going to have an in-person TLI, and that's going to be held on June 25th. That's a Saturday. I think registration starts at 8 a.m. Will be about 8 to noon. We should finish up. And that will be at the LDS Church on Lone Mountain. Again, send me an email or look at the newsletter. There's information there as well. And finally, we're going to do an online TLI in July, first part of July. What we've been trying to do, Phyllis, is to accommodate our members, those who prefer online training and those who prefer in person. So we cover all our bases. We're very flexible. Yes, we work it all. So that's going to be on July 9th at 6 p.m. in the evening. Again, information anytime can be found in our newsletter, which is also posted on the website, or you can email me. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Great questions. Lizette, good to hear from you. Carol, always a pleasure. We'll be in touch and have a great, great weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.